Off of that too, the coaching conversation. I just going to bring this up a little off script, right? Because you brought up Clint Kubiak.
Everything's off script today.
It is because I want to talk about some of the things.
No, it's great though. It's better than the script.
And Mike McDonald talked about, Pete. So we got to make sure we get some of that in there. I think it's worth talking about the Vrabel stuff, but the Clint Kubiak stuff off of that, you brought him up. I mean, yes, it's unbelievable what he's done. A little bit of the transformation from the Saints here to the Seahawks and now head coach. But I do hate. I'm telling you, I just think it's really stupid. Another thing of common sense where I go, we're in the biggest game in our country. We're preparing for that. We all want these teams to be at their best. The Patriots we're not worried about nobody's getting hired anywhere. Yeah. We're focused on the game. And you got one of the biggest components of the game in Clint Kubiak who's got to come up with a game plan. And as you always say, his number one worry, he's coming home, his wife's going, hey, how did that interview or how's that preparation for that life-changing money job going, right? How's that $15 million a year job going? I know the Super Bowl is there, but how's the other one going? That's just not fair. It doesn't make sense. It's not going to put the best product on the field. And that's where I don't like that either.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
If he already knows he's getting the job, the distraction's gone.
That's
he can just focus on the task at hand this
week.
Well,
I hear
you.
But
the lead up to this point, though,
but I don't think it ever leaves your brain, though. No. But once you take the job.
Well, you know what you're thinking? You're thinking, as of next Monday, I'm moving to Las Vegas.
Right.
Yeah. We got to find, I don't know if he's got kids, but we got to find school. We got to do this. We got to find a house.
You don't think anybody from Raiders brass is going, hey, think about this right now. We're trying to do this. So he's thinking about that team when he's going,
and he's seeing this too, like from this point of he's a player thinking about this. He doesn't want him to lose his edge, right? In the biggest moment.
Right.
Because right now, you're great. We love you. You were our first pick, even though we interviewed 12 other people. Yeah. We wanted you. And it's like, no, you want your offensive coordinator to still be on that prove-it mission and to just control and dominate. And I think that's what ultimately you're laying.
That's a great point. The ship's already come in. It doesn't matter. You can take off the uniform like it's over.
You're still winning. There's no loss here. And I think that's the thing. You want to keep. Everyone wants to keep their edge. And that's where, for our experience with the Atlanta Falcons and all that, it was really interesting because it was about, hey, family, this, that. But all right, hey, now it's all about the game again. Let's zero back in. Let's get back to just keeping our mentality about what we've been doing all year. And it's very difficult to do that.
Matt was on the sidelines for 28-3.
Yeah.
Matt saw Kyle Shanahan being the offensive coordinator who was going the next week to San Francisco. Yeah. Right? He was there for all of that. I mean, Matt was sitting there at one point in the third quarter going, damn, I'm about to get a Super Bowl ring. And then all of a sudden, Tommy Brady showed up, and Matt still talks about it. A lot of other things happened. A lot of crazy stuff happened, but I know Matt.
Two of the best Super Bowl catches I've ever seen, and no one ever,
the Julio Jones.
The Julio Jones catch on the sideline is one of the best catches in Super Bowl history that gets overlooked all the time because of Julian Edelman and because we lost the game. But that catch is unbelievable.
When that catch happened, I said in the press box,
I said we won.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
The
I
comeback
thought we won
was
the
fun
game
while it lasted.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and it was over at that point.
I thought the game was over,
so let's take it from that point forward. Because I was trying to remember how the sequence went after that. Because they're in field goal range. You're in field goal range at that point. There's not much time left. It would have been a 11-point lead?
Yeah, 11 point lead. I believe so, something like that.
So what happened first down?
First down, I think they threw the ball, right? I think they threw the ball, and that's where everybody went crazy, and they blamed Kyle Shanahan. I went, no, that's where the head coach has got to get in and go, hey, I want you to run the ball here. We want to stay in field goal position and the clock. That's the most important thing.
Okay, then second down, what happened?
Second down, I think they ended up having to throw again, and they got sacked.
What was the Dante Hightower sack? Was that it, second down?
I think it was second down, and I might be off here a little bit. But
and then third down, they threw again?
Third down, I think they threw
again. Third down, we were forced to throw again.
Yeah. And then out of field goal range.
First down is where I might be wrong.
Right?
Maybe
out of field goal range, punted.
Punted. Yeah. Right. Exactly right. They're between that and what Matt will tell you is the strip sack fumble, right, from Dante Howard off the edge there.
Yeah.
That was really because I don't think they can come back unless they get the short field easy. Yeah.
The strip sack was the play that changed the game.
And have you ever heard Bill Belichick tell that story? Have you ever heard this story of that? Right.
No.
I mean, they ran the blitz earlier in the game. And Freeman, the running back, picked it up.
Devontae Freeman.
And they called it again, and they said, hey, Dante, move wider. We don't think he's going to look all the way out and scan all the way out. And so they told him to move about 3 steps wider, and Devontae Freeman never got out there until it was too late.
Coaching point. That speaks
that's the stuff that Vrabel does, and it's the little nuances that.
But that speaks to the first ballot Hall of Fame head coach Bill Belichick and saying, move 3 steps wider, he won't be able to count for you. And that's like one of those notes too. Like I still have my notebook from the Super Bowl, and one of the discussions was, do we count Dante Hightower as a defensive lineman in 5-0 situations?
Such a big guy, right.
Or do we let the running back handle it?
Yeah,
and that was one of those things where we were always kind of debating it, even towards game time. We weren't sure how we wanted to handle that.
Yep.
And ultimately that paid us. And what's funny about that too, like there's a whole story behind that play. That was actually a play that I designed.
Wow.
Yeah, that I was a part of designing. Right. So we were watching film, and we were very big into throwing the deep dagger concept to Julio Jones over the middle. Right. Deep dagger with the through route. Since New England played so much man coverage and they would undercut a lot of the through routes, we were like, hey, let's put a high pylon. This ultimately becomes the exact same play that the Chiefs run against Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers to win the football game in that Super Bowl. So it's interesting how that same play has kind of come up twice in Kyle's career.
That's funny.
And different ways.
Both of them bad.
Yes.
Right.
Here it is. The pass to Julio Jones, 2nd and 8 on the 49. 27-yard gain. Put it on the New England 22 with 4:40 to play. Up 8. So the game's over. The game's over. The game's over.
22.
First down. Devontae Freeman lost a yard. 2nd down, sack Matt Ryan. It was Trey Flowers. I don't know why. I'm thinking of Hightower with the fumble, but it was Trey Flowers that sacked him. Lost 12 yards. 3rd down, pass short left to Mohamed Sanu, gained 9 yards. So it was, and then there was holding on that play. So it made it 3rd and 33 from the 45 of New England. Incomplete pass. And then punt from the 45.
Second, even though you lost a yard on first down, you should have ran it on second, make them use their timeouts, make them use the clock. The biggest thing was clock and the field goal.
You're going up 2 scores. You're going up 11 points.
The field goal.
You're going up 11 points. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm having the conversation. Here's something that you and I have argued about in the past, because there's this whole issue of who gets the blame for that. And it's one of the great Super Bowl moments of all time, and we've gone down this rabbit hole. Let's continue.
Fantastic Super Bowl game.
You got Dan Quinn. You got Kyle Shanahan. And there's been the conversation about, like, does Quinn overrule the call on 2nd and 11 after the Devontae Freeman 1-yard loss? Should he overrule it? I go to the quarterback, who coincidentally is now the president of football operations in Atlanta. At what point in that moment, with your legacy on the line, and you get that play call, at what point is a quarterback empowered to say, no, we're running the ball again?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a hard thing to do.
It is hard to separate yourself from what's actually taking place on the field, and for at least Matt Ryan to separate himself and see the bigger picture of the game management. And that's why I think ultimately it goes back to the coaches, right, in calling the play.
But if you do that, let's say you have that, because I think Peyton Manning has that ability. Can we agree on that? Peyton Manning has the ability to separate himself from the moment and understand the bigger picture. Are you still able to, like, what kind of etiquette are you pushing?
That's weird, right?
Yeah.
You're the ultimate commander, but you're taking orders, right?
And I'm thinking back to the days when I was a kid, and the quarterbacks called all the plays anyway. There was no directive from the sideline. The quarterback makes that decision in the moment.
Think about it from Matt Ryan's perspective, though, too. That was the best season that he has had in a long time. He had an MVP year, right? And
he's like, Shanahan's been calling it awesome all year. We've been aggressive in these situations every time, and it's worked out. So that's where I don't think his mind is there, right? That's where it's on the head coach, like we've discussed before. And any of the Patriots losses, it's funny, we never bring up the offensive coordinator for managing the bad game. We talk about Bill Belichick doing stuff.
Do you think we win the game if the overtime rules are as they are now?
No, you were done at that point. I think you lose no matter what. Yeah, but it shouldn't have got to that point, is what we're
I always
really
thought we should have called a few defensive timeouts, especially with that first drive.
Last drive, your defense was exhausted.
They were so dead.
And why go end the game, like recalibrate?
And that's the thing, too. A lot of people, when they think about that football game, they're always just like, well, you should have kept running. And it's like, their defense started kind of beating us up. And we weren't running the football as effectively. And really the move of Dante Hightower, a small thing like that, going to the edge, he really started winning a lot of those one-on-one battles with our tight ends and tackles in obvious running situations. So he was a huge impact on that game.
Another thing I'd never thought of before, Dan Quinn, like, part of the problem is you're getting deep into the play clock, the play calls in. It's not like you can change it on the fly, but you can call timeout.
That's right.
Just call time. Like, something doesn't feel right here. Let's call timeout
or rest
and let's
the guys,
regroup.
like you said. And that's a big thing that gets lost. It's a 2-minute drive. You're and they're coming and you're attacking.
I don't know why coaches
every now and then,
calling timeouts
on defense, right? It's like, hey, wait, you're not going to get the ball back.
I'm sorry. I skipped back to the offensive thing. The offensive, in that moment when a pass is called and, like, we know what could happen here. There could be a turnover. There could be a sack. There could be a strip sack. There could be a defensive touchdown. Like, let's keep the clock moving. let's get out of here with a 2-score lead.
Kyle was the guy. Our offense is what got us there. Our defense absolutely was opportunistic and played hard as hell. There's no doubt about it. We really lucked out with kind of how New England got to the Super Bowl, with some of the matchups kind of favoring us. I always think back to when Aaron Rodgers hit that pass on the left sideline against the Dallas Cowboys. I was like, we're going. Right. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're definitely going to beat Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
If the Dallas Cowboys won that game, they probably would have ran us out of the field, right? Because they were just bigger, stronger. Ezekiel L was in the prime of his career, which is maybe his second year of his career.
Right.
That was that throw to Jared Cook on the sideline.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Literally, I was in my living room watching that game. I'm like, we're going to the Super Bowl. And they're like, how can you be so confident? I'm like, because we match up great against Green Bay.
Yeah.
And the only team that really could have manhandled us was Dallas. And, it just kind of goes to show you just how important matchups are.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.